Khamzat is a man who truly enjoys the art of fighting. He showed that by fighting 4 times in 15 months when he first came into the UFC.
And just with the hype, people talk about me, he's famous, blah, blah. I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior, that's why I'm here.
But at the time of making this video, his last fight was 7 months ago against Kevin Holland. This usually wouldn't be a problem, as most of the stars aren't fighting that often, but Khamzat made a name for himself by fighting regularly and dominating his opponents.
All the fights that I've had, you've had guys that'll be like, yeah, I'm going to turn around. I want to turn around fast, and let me see how I feel tomorrow. Let me talk to my team. Let me do this. Let me do that. This guy's like, I want to fight again here on Fight Island. I was like, really? So you want to fight again while we're here? And he's like, yeah. So I turned him around. I called everybody and said, I'm going to do it. We're going to turn this kid around.
It seems as though Khamzat himself is pretty annoyed with the situation. There's been talk about him fighting Colby, but apparently Covington doesn't have that in his plans.
Colby is lying, he doesn't want to fight. I swear with everything I have, I swear with the God, so I accept the fight 4 times. All the Muslims understand, I swear with Quran. I get 4 times call, you want to fight? I say yes. I have accreditation with Sean Shelby, can show it as well, so we're gonna fight with this guy, but it's never happened.
Let's say this is true. Why doesn't the organization punish fighters who refuse to fight? You definitely can't force them to fight, but you can lower their rankings. In Colby's case, he is being rewarded by Dana White for refusing fights, as he is the next in line for the welterweight title shot against Leon Edwards.
Obviously, we had Colby Covington cage side. He wants to fight Leon in July. I'm curious if that's a fight you're interested in, or do you need to see how it plays out?
Yeah, I don't know when we'll do it, but yeah, that's the fight that makes sense.
We can't know for sure what's happening behind the scenes, but we sure do know that Khamzat is wasting his potential by sitting out for a year. Is the UFC being too picky with the opponents as they want to make it as profitable as possible, or is Khamzat the issue? Personally, it's hard for me to believe that Khamzat would turn down fights. Without knowing all the details, it looks as though he is being mismanaged by the organization and his team.
Khamzat Chimaev is one of the baddest dudes that I've ever come across. Nobody wants to fight this guy. You should look at a guy with as much hype and as much bravado as Chimaev has as a huge opportunity.
Are guys afraid of him?
Yeah, 100%.
Dana White is trying to push the narrative that every fighter on the roster is afraid of fighting Khamzat. That is simply not true.
I stepped up over and over and over again, saying I was willing to fight this man.
And you called out Khamzat Chimaev, who is a welterweight that might have to go up. So why specifically would you like to fight?
One more time. I know this guy, he's good like a person, and I also respect him like a fighter. That's why I want to fight him like one of the best names in the game.
From you, Khamzat, he's online, he's talking about how he wants this fight with you respectfully. What was your reaction when you saw that tweet?
Didn't say it, but now I know.
Now that you've heard about it, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, cool. Let's do it.
There are obviously fighters who are ready to fight the undefeated Khamzat, but most of those matchups don't make sense for the organization. The organization is waiting for the perfect fight with the most hype possible. They aren't interested in fighters like Neil Magny, as Khamzat has nothing to gain from that win, but it's still a better option than sitting out for a year. It's also most likely that he won't fight at 170 pounds ever again. Fighting at that division in the first place was already a dumb decision. He gathered a few notable wins at 170 pounds. Then he beat Gilbert Burns, which would put him in the title contention, just to then miss weight for the scheduled bout against Nate Diaz.
178.5, the official weight for Khamzat Chimaev.
They must have known that weight cutting would be a problem, but they still made him fight at welterweight. Who should he fight at 185 pounds? If he's aiming at the top, which he probably is, he's looking at the likes of Bobby Knuckles. Is that a good stylistic matchup for him? Absolutely not. Robert is probably the worst matchup for him in that division, and fighting him would be the worst option. Amazing takedown defense combined with elite striking skills and cardio, Khamzat would have a hard time. Will the UFC skip that fight and throw Khamzat directly into the title fight? Well, I hope not. It probably won't happen since he doesn't have even one top 15 middleweight win, but you never know. If he does, it would be an interesting fight. It's hard to bet against Israel after his last performance, but Khamzat surely has a chance. Robert and Israel have been the two best middleweights for a long time. Even though Pereira took the title from Israel for a short period of time, he skipped a few lines for a title shot just because of his rivalry with Adesanya. He's also going up to the light heavyweight division, which completely rules him out of the picture. And even though everyone would tune in to watch any of those fights, they don't make sense. At least, not right now. We see how the UFC is careful with managing Khamzat's career, and they are probably aware of the fact that both Robert and Israel are massive step-ups for the Russian. They are both highly capable of ending the hype. The UFC doesn't want to make the same mistake they made with Darren Till, pushing him against Tyron Woodley. He got absolutely dominated in that fight, and in a span of a few years, he went from one of the biggest prospects to being released from the organization. That's why the fight against Paulo Costa would be a perfect fight.
But who do you want right now? If you have one choice, one wish, who would it be?
So, I think, Chimaev.
Marvin is also a good option. A win against any of these two would surely do a lot for his future plans and his credibility, and everyone would watch those fights. But at this point, we want to see him fight anyone. He needs to fight anyone at 185 pounds, and he would probably beat most of the contenders. I know that in his head, he already deserves to either fight for the title or the #1 contender. But why the rush? It's not like he didn't have any problems with Gilbert Burns. He still has areas to improve on, and matching up against previously mentioned fighters would be a perfect opportunity for him to showcase his already gathered skills and sharpen everything that he's missing. I don't know what the organization's plans are with Khamzat. All I do know is that they are wasting his potential and his prime years. It's crazy to think that the UFC has a once-in-a-lifetime persona that makes people tune in to watch him ragdoll his opponents, and they are using that to the maximum. That's the reason why he got so popular in the first place. He brought something new, something the fans aren't used to, and now they are turning him into every other fighter on the roster. Plenty of nonsensical call-outs, meaningless trash talk, and fighting on rare occasions. If they're going to book him in October, that would be a whole year of inactivity for the Russian. And when you have a fighter that the fans love to watch, a fighter that loves to fight, why not use that to your advantage? Mixed martial arts is a sport that doesn't wait for anyone, a sport that can change drastically in a matter of months, so let's hope we will see Khamzat in that octagon as soon as possible.
The look, the lip, everything all about it. But then, of course, the way that he fights inside the octagon. I mean, the man is absolutely terrifying.